We should hear the little mess. And I'll put the agenda up on the screen. That's not it. Can you guys all see the agenda?
I still Davidson Street.
Oh, okay. Is it still Ibbotson Street?
The building, yeah, that's all I have anyway.
1 sec, sorry about that.
A little preview of what I've got to share today.
That's
Yes.
it. I got it. Yep.
All right, there it is. All right. Good evening, good evening. Pardon the tardiness. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2024, this meeting of the Traffic Commission, it will be conducted by remote participation and will be posted audio recording, audio video recording, transcript, and other comprehensive record of these proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting on the City of Somerville's website. All right, can we see if we have a quorum, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Here.
Councillor Said,
Present.
Lena Webb,
Here.
Lieutenant Reimel,
I'm here.
and Assistant Chief Tierney.
Here.
And that's 5, and we have a quorum.
Wonderful. All right, meeting ground rules. Listen to the other side, focus on issues, not personalities, avoid questioning motives, and let's always try and be polite. Item number 1, acceptance of the minutes from the September 12th, 2024 Traffic Commission meeting. Can I get a motion to accept or deny item number 1?
Motion to accept.
Great.
Second.
Wonderful. Can we get a roll call vote to accept item number 1, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Councillor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Reimel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 5 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on to item number 2, request for an accessible parking space at 10 Cypress Street. Who is here to discuss this item?
That would be me on behalf of Adrienne Pomeroy, the ADA coordinator. She was unable to make it tonight, but we received this application for a new handicap parking spot in front of our residents. Adrienne reviewed the application and spoke to the resident and recommends approval for the space.
Discussion on this item or concerns? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or deny item number 2? Lieutenant Tierney?
Motion to accept.
Oh, great. Can I get a second, Sean?
Sorry, second.
Great. Can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 2, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Councillor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Reimel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 5 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on to item number 3, request to convert the 2 metered parking spaces at 2 to 4 Ibbotson Street to an electric vehicle charging station. The meters will remain active, but we will be restricted for use by actively charging electric vehicles only. Who is here to discuss this item?
That would be me, Chair Lathan, Josh Eckartley, your sustainability planner in the Office of Sustainability and Environment.
Can you discuss this item and the need for this? And
Absolutely, yes. As you all know, our climate forward plan for the city of Somerville has ambitious goals for expanding publicly accessible level 2 EV charging stations across the city. As part of that goal, we've spent the last year working with engineers at VIA and CDM Smith to develop an EVSE, which is electric vehicle supply equipment, sort of another term for an EV charger, EV siting across the city. Over this year, we did both community-based and commercial-based scores for locations across 37 different sites in the city. And this location in front of 2 to 4 Ibbotson Street was the sort of top-rated location in that siting strategy. So we've begun work to install a station there to meet both our plan goals and our efforts to increase charging infrastructure across the city.
discussion on this item? So I have a concern, and I'll be voting no on this. I'd like the city to have a more robust plan on how to make sure this is benefiting Somerville residents versus folks coming from surrounding communities and they're taking up these charging spots across the city. And not living in Somerville or not working in Somerville. And they come to Somerville because of the whether it be the no charge or the free charge or the whatever that we're doing in Somerville that's benefiting our residents. So that's just my concern, but I just need to vocalize that.
I'm happy to briefly respond at least one item that we've done to try and address that, Chair, if that's all right.
Go for it.
So this July, as of July 1st, we've started matching the price of our surrounding communities for charging, billing for charging at 25 cents per kilowatt hour, which brings us in line with neighboring communities in Arlington, Medford, Boston, Cambridge, which has seen a reduction in the number of sort of unique users, indicating to us that we have done at least something small to deter what we've seen previously of folks traveling into Somerville to utilize that free charging network.
Thank you for that information. Councilor Said?
I have a few questions. The first one is based on what criteria were these locations chosen? And two, is there a map of the 37 locations that you have mentioned?
Yes, of course, through you, Chair Layton. So the siting strategy report that was developed with VIA and CDM Smith was made available to commissioners. And that map that report has a series of maps in it that include both our existing and the proposed stations, as well as overlaying that with various other sort of important GIS characteristics like our EJ populations, our density of multifamily housing, which we want to try and encourage chargers near where there is typically less access to private charging. The community and commercial scores have a sort of detailed methodology that's laid out in the report, but it set different sort of point values and metrics, either as a binary or as a scale, for characteristics such as distance to existing charging stations, proximity to public transit, density of multifamily housing, and access to freeways and other sort of corridors of travel. And that's the sort of methodology that was used and is detailed in the report.
And I just put the report up on the screen as well.
Leah? Lena?
Hi, thanks for all of this. I'm curious if there's any surveying of, residents who do have EVs that are like concentrated in that area, and therefore, if someone's going to be using it, it's going to be somebody who has an EV that lives on Ibbotson, rather than it sort of being this like, free for all for anybody, like do you target those does that factor into the score at all? Like, do you look at what Somerville residents own EVs in that area? Just a question.
So I don't have data tying car ownership to specific locations. So I'm not able to do that kind of granular outreach. Through our Sustainaville newsletter, we have done surveys to sort of identify which neighborhoods and areas throughout the city residents would like to see additional charging infrastructure. This part of town already has the busiest station at the Veterans Memorial Ice Rink. So we saw a sort of need to amp up the service we provide in this neighborhood. But I don't have that kind of granular street level data that you'd request.
Any further discussion?
I do have a question,
Yeah, go for it.
Commissioner Layton. Yeah, so I think similar to the question that Lena Webb has asked, but I guess I'll ask it differently is there a way to track like how often these charging stations are being used?
Yes, it's not a public dashboard, but as the station owner, the city gets live tracking data for which stations are currently in use, if any stations are having maintenance needs, and it has a track that updates daily with the number of users as well as the number of unique users, so we can generally see if there are repeat users of our stations versus a variety of different folks, which is the metric we use to try and identify whether that our new billing program was reducing the number of unique users coming in to use these chargers.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, are we seeing an increase in use, in EV charging station use, according to that data?
Sorry, I'm a little rusty. If the chair needs
Yeah,
to.
sorry. I'll repeat my question. I said, according to that data, are we seeing an increase in use?
No. So since we instituted the billing program in July, we've seen a decrease in the number of unique users, which indicates to us that we're seeing a less of a sort of influx from random sort of users around the area and more of a consistent use from Somerville residents or regular folks who are in the city of Somerville as workers.
Okay. Thank you. Good to know. Wonderful. My last question is, in the surrounding communities, are the EV charging stations available to everyone, including Somerville residents?
Yes, through you, Chair. There are some cases where non-municipally managed chargers may be limited to use for certain tenants of a building or certain employees at a workplace. But in all of our surrounding communities, the municipally managed and publicly available chargers are available to anybody. There are some locations here where the parking is tied to permit parking. For instance, on Evergreen Street or in our school lots, you need permits to park in the school lot as a school permit or a resident permit on Evergreen Street. So that's some way to limit the use there, but there's not specifically a limit on someone else using the station.
Okay, that's great information to know. It means like even if Cambridge or Medford or Arlington residents use our EV stations, our residents also can do the same in those towns. Personally, I'd be voting yes, because I think when it comes to environment, there are no borders, and we're seeing an increase in use in electric vehicles ownership. And I highly support the Office of Sustainability's initiative to add more locations. So thank you for all the information you provided tonight.
Any further discussion? All right. Can I get a motion to accept or deny this particular item number 3?
Motion to accept.
All right, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second. Oh,
Oh, but great. Can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 3, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
No.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
yes.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 yes and 1 no, so the motion carries.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening.
Yeah, have a great one. Moving on to item number 4, Elizabeth Peabody House loading zone request regarding the curb on the east side of Grant Street nearest 275 to 277 Broadway, from approximately 20 feet north of Broadway to approximately 80 feet north of Broadway. Request to convert the existing loading zone from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Wednesday to a loading zone from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Who is here to discuss this item?
Good evening, Chair. Brad Rawson, OSPCD Mobility Division. I'll be here to discuss item 4 and item 5. And then for item 6, Viola Augustine from our staff will be here to brief the commission. So if it's okay with you, Chair, I'd love to provide a tiny bit of background on item 4, the request for loading zone hours modification at Grant Street.
Wonderful.
Jackie, there is a visual that was shared with the commission. Would you like to do a screen share or would you like me to?
I have it up. Everybody can see it?
Thank you very much. Chair, through you, our partners at Elizabeth Peabody House approached the city requesting a modification to the existing loading zone adjacent to their building on Grant Street. The reason for this is that they have been scaling up a food distribution, food pantry operation at EPL, which we're really excited about. Our HHS department and others partner with them on these types of initiatives. The deliveries that Elizabeth Peabody takes are occurring in earlier morning hours, and they are unable to control those hours, which is really, really common for those types of deliveries. As a result, Elizabeth Peabody asked us to simply extend by 3 hours per day the loading zone regulations. Therefore, the existing 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. loading zone would become 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So this is something that Mobility and Parking have reviewed and recommend for your approval.
I think Chair, you're on mute.
Hello. Are you saying, Director Rawson, that because of the availability of when the food, actually the truck deliveries, they can't no longer be between the 10 a.m., they're coming earlier?
Chair, yes, thanks for the clarification. They are receiving additional deliveries, which are occurring during those earlier morning hours. And those deliveries are sometimes resulting in double parking and other challenges for the street. They continue to receive deliveries and use the loading zone throughout the day, but this is a new condition where they're getting newer and earlier deliveries. That's why they've requested this change.
And they're asking to go from 1 day and adding more time to 3 days.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Further discussion from the team? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or deny item number 4, please? Lieutenant Rymel,
I'll accept. Motion to accept.
can I get a second?
Second.
Great. Can I motion to accept item number 4, please? A roll call vote. We have a motion. I've seen a roll call vote to accept it.
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 5 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on to item number 5, Columbia Street curb regulation changes. Regarding the curb on the east side of Columbia Street nearest 516 Columbia Street, from approximately 30 feet south of Windsor Place to approximately 325 feet south of Windsor Place, request to convert the existing 2-hour parking regulation to no parking anytime. All right, who's here to discuss this doozy?
Chair, Brad Rawson from Mobility Division. I'll be here to discuss this item. And Chair, I'd call the Commission's attention to a 3-part series of requests for your consideration tonight. I want to note at the top that that there would be no reduction in curb space and parking. So there is essentially housekeeping involved here, Chair. The existing condition on Columbia, down in the Boynton Yards industrial area, which is experiencing rapid growth in office, R&D, and lab development consistent with our land use plans, is resulting in some interesting changes to conditions. Chair, at the top of this image are a series of old warehouse buildings along Columbia, Webster, and Beach that are now being redeveloped as an office and research and development facility called 495 Columbia Street. So you see a text label at the top of this image that says formerly 517 Columbia and now says currently 495 Columbia. So that's a large building. And with any large developments like this, the city requires the developers to rebuild sidewalks adjacent to their development site. And so along Columbia, in the area kind of next to the red polygon, the developer is building new accessible sidewalks where none previously existed. As our staff in engineering and mobility and parking review this, we look at Columbia, which currently has regulations allowing for parking on the bottom of this image headed northbound that are highlighted as 2-hour parking except by permit in green. The sidewalk is essentially non-existent on that side, Chair. As a result, from an accessibility standpoint, we are recommending that the city relocate the curb parking from one side of the street where there is no accessible path of travel to the other side of the street where there will be. It's about the same amount of curb distance, so same amount of parking capacity. So that's really the impetus for this request, is to think about the user experience and put the parking where folks can access a legitimate sidewalk, just move it from one side of the street to the other. Now, one additional detail, Chair, before I take questions, if it's okay. As we went through this process with engineering, parking, and mobility, we learned that there was an old legacy loading zone regulation. It is highlighted in orange on this diagram. It wasn't really signed, it wasn't really enforced, but we still think that there's an important need for loading in this area. As a result, we're recommending that that loading zone be relocated and reestablished, again, adjacent to the new development and adjacent to the accessible sidewalk. So why don't I pause there, and happy to answer any questions.
Hold on, Director Ross and Holder Smith. I just realized I read only A, and in all fairness, to make sure we're thorough with this particular item, let me read B and C. So we're all on the same page, so we can do this in one vote. So bear with me. So number B, regarding the curb on the west side of Columbia Street nearest 495 Columbia Street from approximately 30 feet south of Windsor Place to approximately 60 feet south of Windsor Place, request modify the existing 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday loading zone in the Traffic Commission Regulations Schedule C, so that it refers to 495 Columbia Street instead of 517 Columbia Street, and request to convert the posted no parking anytime regulations to this loading zone. Item C, regarding the curb on the west side of Columbia Street nearest 495 Columbia Street from approximately 115 feet south of Windsor Place to approximately 250 feet south of Windsor Place, request to convert the existing no parking regulation to be 2-hour parking. So now that we've done a more thorough job explaining the entire item, questions or discussions from the team? So just so I understand, Director Rawson, we want to put in a more accessible sidewalk.
Chair, that is correct, and that is the
There'll be no
obligation of the
parking.
developer.
There'll be no parking anywhere in front of this site whatsoever?
Chair, there will be parking on the development side of the street. So facing southbound, which in this image would be the green area, read from
Okay.
kind of right to left.
Okay, that's the 2-hour parking except by permit. Okay. This is kind of lengthy, so I want to make sure I understood it completely. Councilor Said.
Through you, Commissioner Lathan, to Director Rawson, just quick question. When will this construction be done? When will it go into effect?
Chair, through you. Thanks for the question, Councilor. The developer's contractor is currently building these sidewalks as we speak. So we have every expectation that that work will be completed this construction season, meaning over the next 4 weeks or so. So with your approval, we would be able to move signage and actually utilize this curb space for the parking and for the loading as proposed.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or deny item number 5, A, B, and C?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Can I
I
get a
second.
second? What? Can I get a roll call vote? My dog's very excited about this vote. Can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 5, A, B, and C, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 5 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Item number 6, Tough Street Reconstruction Project information item regarding the Tough Street Reconstruction Project. This is no vote required or motion, just informational. Who's doing this?
Chair, if it's okay, I'd love to introduce Senior Planner for Mobility Division, Viola Augustine. Viola serves as project manager on many projects, including our Tufts Street Reconstruction Project. And Chair, just for one piece of table setting, there's a process improvement that this Traffic Commission has gone through these last couple of years, and we're really pleased about that process improvement. It involves our staff coming to you all as project sponsor before decisions are requested for large reconstruction projects. So as you noted, Chair, this is not a decision request. This is an informational item to keep you all in the loop about the community process, the community engagement, the design development, and this will be followed by a decision request in the coming months as we finalize design. So we've had great community process, great community engagement, operational tests with DPW, fire, and others. We're just really excited about the Tough Street project. So I just wanted to do that table setting. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Through the chair, I'd like to share my slides, and I think Jackie can bring them up. Thank you, Jackie. So the Tufts Reconstruction Project that we are introducing here is next to Washington Street, right after the underpass. It's between Washington Street and Cross Street. And in 2023, Mobility and Engineering started to design and a very robust community outreach process for this street. And I just wanted to point out why Tufts Street was chosen at that point. Tufts Street is on the 5-year sidewalk and pavement program. And I kind of included these existing pavement and sidewalk conditions to show the dire need of sidewalk improvements and roadway improvements. It is also a dedicated neighborway on the bicycle network plan. And it's the main access route for East Somerville, both the residents and the businesses on East Broadway to the new East Somerville Green Line station. And Jackie, yeah, thank you. So I just want to point out the timeline. As I said, 2023, we started this process. We had multiple rounds of engagement. We also worked with city departments. Assistant Chief Tierney was on the street with us when fire trucks tested one of our designs that after their very valuable feedback and community feedback, we actually changed because it wasn't working. So we are right now reviewing the 100% drawing set and are expecting to go out to bid and start the construction sometime next year with completion probably the end of 2025 or most likely 2026. Next slide. So the final design, and my apology that it's a little small, I did try to fit the whole street on the screen. I can quickly give an overview. All of this information you can find on our usual somervillema.gov Tufts Reconstruction webpage, including every community process we did and feedback and information, for example, on the fire run. But with that, I just wanted to start on the left side, which is Cross Street. So the overall street is maintained as a two-way street. And because a neighborway, I hope you all are familiar by now that these are our residential streets with low volume and low speed traffic that we believe people of all ages and abilities can ride their bike in the middle of the street. So that is our goal here. And in order to achieve the, especially the speed calming and less volume, we introduce what we call pinch points. And you see that where the sidewalks extend into the roadway. In these areas, there will only be one car at a time going through. So that will substantially reduce speeds and make it much less inducive for people to use Tough Street as a through street or cut through. With those curb extensions, we were able to widen the sidewalks in some areas, introduce planted areas, but also introduce some new parking. And that is what you're probably most interested in. So next slide. On the parking front, I just wanted to briefly recap what the parking situation was and we hopefully is going to be at Tufts. So before the GLX construction, there was one side of parking, approximately 26 parking spaces on Tufts Street. And then 2019, because of the closing of the Washington underpass, all parking was removed to accommodate emergency traffic and the bus, a bus that needed to be routed there. After the underpass opened and GLX construction was done in May 2022, we went in front of the Traffic Commission to approve the permanent removal of parking, and you did. Now that we started this Tough Street reconstruction, we have learned, and we've also seen that with no parking on the street, there's still a very high demand on especially quick deliveries, be it the postal truck or food deliveries, or, you know, picking and dropping off residents. And throughout the community process, there was there was a demand, and people were asking for to reinitiate the parking. So what we are showing here are 2 of these curb extensions to be changed again to parking areas, and that will be about 4 spaces. And we're currently fine-tuning our approach that we have communicated so far, and everybody overall is in agreement, is to have it be loading during the day and residential parking in the evening. And with the final request, we probably gonna come to you next month or in December. And with that, any questions?
My team? All righty. Well, thank you so much, Farrell. Appreciate that thorough overview. Look forward to the actual, next steps.
You all are. Thank you, Chair.
All right. All right. Well, that is the end of this wonderful, great meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn this great team meeting?
Jackie.
Oh, yes, I just have a slight item to note. Thank you. I was gonna wait until after the motion. Today is Lieutenant Rimel's birthday.
Oh, I forgot all
So
about that. Thank
he
you for that.
graciously had his birthday celebration last night so he could make the meeting tonight. So
Happy
birthday!
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
In the interest of time, I
Sorry.
won't make Jill sing. It's
We're
fine.
gonna have to do but this is it. We're going to sing. What?
Happy
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday, Lieutenant Rimal.
Happy birthday
to
to you.
Oh, painful but appreciated. Thank you.
That was very painful.
Thank
Oh my
you.
God.
And I alarmed Zoom because they keep asking me if I'm playing music and if I want to set up professional audio and audio settings. So
I'm sorry to keep you waiting. My bad. Sorry. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Oh my God. Happy birthday, my friend. Awesome. So glad. I am so glad and honored that you are on this planet and on this earth. And this is a great day because it was the day you were born.
Ah,
Thank you, Jill.
and what a way to spend a birthday.
Right.
Positive meeting. Good. Excellent.
All right. Now can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Lieutenant Rimal.
I think I might make a motion to adjourn just on that note. Yeah.
I'll make a second.
Wonderful. Can I get a roll call vote to adjourn this meeting?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rimal,
Yes on me.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
And that's 5 yes, and the motion to adjourn carries.
All right, well, Groovy Tunes, I'd say Groovy Tunes, but we were so far off, we could never do karaoke together, but we'd have to practice.
Right.
But, it was fun. Have a
Yes,
great
and
evening.
never forget, this will be publicly available on the website. So
Yeah.
accessible
Forgot
to
about-
everyone.
I forgot
Have a
about
good
that.
night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah.